ActionSA, a political party, says that it is still deliberating on its position within the multi-party coalition in the City of Tshwane's council and is considering options outside of its relationship with the Democratic Alliance. The embattled coalition is facing political instability with a motion of no confidence against the city's executive mayor, Cilliers Brink, set to be placed later this month. But for the past few years, the City of Tshwane has faced governance and service delivery challenges, including a lack of water provision for residents and forensic investigations into alleged tender irregularities. So to talk to us more about the continuing political instability in the capital city, we are joined virtually by Professor Lesiba Teffo, who's a political analyst from the University of South Africa. Prof, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us on Morning Live.
Greetings to you, Sakina, and the viewers at home.
First off, just your reading of how things have developed in the City of Tshwane post the general election in May.
Yeah, you have to be historical in order to appreciate and to understand why the City of Tshwane is where it is and why it cannot be easy for it to render the services people aspire to. And I just don't want to prevaricate and use too much English here. For as long as the public service of South Africa is not professional, it's always going to be difficult that the deployees will pander or serve people other than the interests of their own party. The ANC ruled Tshwane for about 15 years. It was removed from power by the very people that elected it. And subsequent to that, you have the perpetual problem of Hammaskra. Suddenly you want to say it is the making of the DA. It was there. It was one of the reasons why they were removed from power. And I'm looking at it in this way. I'm a resident of Tshwane. But as long as by far the majority of the public servants are actually members of a political party, they will always find it difficult not to sabotage, unless there is political maturity and professionalism.
So, coming to the City of Tshwane, what does that mean for the situation there right now? Do you believe, Prof, that political parties in the capital are actually acting in the best interest of the residents, or is this just about their political ambitions?
Of course, so that's what I'm saying. It is about their political ambitions, and aided and abetted by the civil servants who are, I'm not saying they must be apolitical, but certainly leave it out when you get into the office, because you must be driven by the public spirit. You must be public spirited. You must be driven by the love and the desire to serve the other rather than the self. They are conflicted by far the majority of them, and there is no way they would not sabotage. Unless they are politically mature, then they can say, it is not about my part when I get into here. It's about the other, especially the small man or the small woman out there in the village, in the rural space of Tshwane.
What makes this so different from any other metro or municipality in the Republic?
Yeah, they can answer that question better. Why is it that I listened to Mashaba, by the way, this morning on SAFM with Cilliers And Cilliers said, you have spoken so much and eloquently, but you don't tell me about the poor performance of Cilliers. Can we just zero in on that? And once you try to do that, then for myself, I say, is worse than who? And then I say, if you talk about the party, is the DA worse than who? I said then, in an unpopular view, but I'm always ready to go my way, given the courage of my conviction. Wherever the DA governs, it governs well. What you see playing out in the Tshwane Metro is exactly what played out in the Western Cape 25 years ago when the ANC lost power. They did what they could to undermine, to make it ungovernable. But the people of the Western Cape were politically more literate and were prepared to say, never again with you.
So this is not just about ActionSA. You, of course, have the ANC that's a pivotal player in this. So what are the sort of dynamics, Prof, that you believe could lead to the ANC perhaps not supporting ActionSA in its quest to oust the DA-led mayoral candidate there? And as I say that, I'm just wondering, is that even the correct way to posit it, given that, again, it's not one or the other? There will have to be some form of coalition here to do that.
Yeah, better stay in your chair and not be a politician. There was this man who could never said any good word to say about the ANC called Herman Mashaba. Today he's causing to the EFF and the DA, maybe rightly so, in the name of realism and pragmatism. But the people out there, they are saying, you want to take our vote back to the ANC, the one we walked away from. And I'm saying to Mashaba, this flip-flopping reminds me of Patricia de Lille. Remember when he left the PAC, he formed Independent Democrats, they voted for him. Later on, he took the very votes of the ANC members that moved away and went with him back to the ANC, and they punished her severely. And her career was saved, by the way, by Patricia, what is that? Not by Delille, the other lady, Helen Suzman, by being on fold. So what am I saying? If Mashaba is not careful, I see him gradually, steadily, and surely beginning to build. He's going too far in the wrong direction, and he might not have more than what he got in the election in 2024.
Let's unpack that, because the very same DA has gone into a coalition with the African National Congress at national level to form that GNU. So why can't ActionSA do the same in the city of Tshwane and in Gauteng? How are these situations different? I want to quote Herman Mashaba because he said, our partners in the coalition agreement took advantage of us, they exploited us, used us. I'm glad to announce that we took a decision that ActionSA in Tshwane will no longer be part of this multi-party government. And he went on to talk about how it was because of that multi-party coalition with the DA that ActionSA perhaps didn't perform as well as it could have in the general election.
I sympathize, by the way, with Herman Mashaba. He's agonizing, he's anxious, and I don't doubt his bona fides. But he must also not come across as saying it is about me and not the people or the electorate that put ActionSA where it is. Maybe it's about time he retreats and allow other people in his space to be the spokesperson of his organization, because he begins to flip-flop for me, and it is not good for him and for the party. Maybe he should or he could have gone into the coalition, and I would not have blamed him. I said, and I spoke to you, Psagina, even at the union building. I said, some of these very people who are criticizing Ramaphosa and the ANC, one day in the dead of the night, they will be kowtowing on their knees, asking him to accommodate them. Didn't they do that? They did. And Mashaba is as well, not kowtowing, just to say, on principle, I am willing, but let's find each other in the interest of the people. But this categoric statement that he makes at times are making it difficult for him to be taken serious. And I hear some who say to me, lest he is careful about his utterances, there will be a trust deficit going forward.
Well, I still find it difficult to understand why this is different for Herman Mashaba than any other politician who have equally flip-flopped. You name them, they've gone back on what they have said previously. So many of them have said they will never work with the ANC. They are today in a government of national unity with the self-same ANC. So why should Mashaba's case be different from any of the others?
That's what I'm saying. Come out clear, but don't flip-flop, go this way. If you want to go for it. But don't pretend otherwise. Just say, I am a politician, we are a political party. Sometimes we'll be informed by reason, sometimes we'll be informed by political expediency. And those who are fairly learned in this regard might understand and appreciate where you come from. As long as you say this position, right, it contradicts what I said yesterday, but realism and pragmatism dictates that I go this route. I would not have a problem with that. I would really not have a problem with them joining the GNU or doing this. But just let it come clear that he is informed by the people that elected him. I heard people in Tshwane say, but how do they take a decision of working with the ANC or with the EFF without consulting us? That's the rub of it.
Consulting us, who's us? Because, again...
The local leadership, by the way, the local leadership of ActionSA around Tshwane, they did raise it. It was covered in the media, and we live in that space. And some of them, they voted for ActionSA. Some of them talk to me like I'm a sangoma. What do you think is going to happen? I just say, I'm just like you, but I think they are going too far in the wrong direction. But let me make this thing about people calling in the dead of the night. Hey, Ramaphosa, call him all sorts of names, but tomorrow they go to him, can you accommodate us? Where is Amasela? Do you know that man? Amasela Dean.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand why ActionSA cannot do whatever is in its best interest, however they may see it, given that that is what everybody else in South African politics is doing. Because now it's reported that they may be eyeing, this is ActionSA, the mayoral position in the city of Tshwane. If that were to be the case,
for me,
they obviously need the ANC to pull this off. So what would that look like for the city's residents?
That would be a kiss of death for me. Be wary, ActionSA, that is a DA, that is the ANC, that is almost encouraging you to take that mayoral car. For me, it's like a poison chalice. Listen to the reasons why the ANC is not interested in taking the mayoral position now. Based on that, I would be extremely reluctant to embrace it.
So if you were advising ActionSA and Herman Mashaba, they had a Senate meeting this weekend, by the way. What would you say to them? What are they supposed to do in order to ensure their future political progress as a party?
Explain it to your followers out there that this was a position yesterday, this is our new position, and will be realism and pragmatism will guide us. And we are at a stage where we think we want to join hands with others in the interest of the people of Tshwane or in the interest of the people of South Africa. Here and there we'll trip and fall, but never doubt our bona fides. The intention is to serve the people well. But when you become with these absolutist statements, categoric statements, and then later on you want to retreat, it's not going to be easy. But people are very forgiving, by the way. Go out there, tell them we might have made mistakes, but we've made too strong statements, or the realities unfolding without apologizing for anything. Calls for new thinking, for new approach, and we are willing to come on board and work with whoever in national interest. There is nothing wrong with the ActionSA saying that, nothing absolutely wrong. In fact, there is dignity in that than those who, in the dead of night, wanted to demand certain positions, and then when they were denied, they want to renounce the ANC, denounce the president, right, and vilify him. I'm sorry, I don't buy that, I don't support that, but there is nothing wrong joining hands. Let's work together, black and white. Unless we don't do that, we'll perish together as fools.
All right.
The Constitution of South Africa, the values that undergird the Constitution of South Africa, behoves us all. Nation building, reconciliation, and social cohesion. That we should work together and make this country what it can become.
We'll leave it there. Political analyst from UNISA, Professor Lesiba Teffo, talking to us about the continuing political instability in the city of Tshwane facing that multi-party coalition.